Okay. Then you can start.
Okay, so I think we can start now. Yes.
Yes.
Apurva, I think we can stop presenting now, and I think we can start with this.
Okay. Okay.
Switch off their videos and mute their audio, please. I think only the speakers can have, ideally, the videos on. Okay, so we can start. Mr. Das, you can switch off your video. Welcome to the first InSIC webinar on ideas and innovations on alternative energy-based technological solutions for rural areas. I am Richard Ghosh Thakur and I'll be moderating the program. This webinar is also being streamed to YouTube Live, and the link of the stream will be shared by Apurva, who is the Secretary of Friends of Environment, our hosters. So he'll share the link. This webinar is organized by InSIC and hosted by NB Institute for Rural Technology and Friends of Environment. I thank Friends of Environment for hosting this event, and Friends of Environment has been doing remarkable work in India. You can visit their website to know more about them. Today there will be presentations from experts in the field of alternative energy. The second InSIC call for grants will be announced also. And the modalities of submission of the call for proposals will be discussed today also. During the presentations, I'll request you all to kindly ask questions in the chat box. Due to time limitations, we'll select some questions from the chat box and then ask them to the speakers. Any questions which are not answered will be answered in the InSIC website, which is www.solarinnovations.org. And in the interactive session, we have questions which can be directly asked to the speakers. So anybody who wishes to ask a question can give a message in the chat box, and we will call the person for asking the questions directly to the grants committee. Though all of you have received the program schedule, so I can directly go. And now I request Professor SP Gonchodri, who is the chairman of InSIC, to give the welcome address. So Professor is an international expert in the field of renewable energy. Under his leadership, almost 1 million people of the Sundarbans got light. His mini microgrid concept received worldwide recognition, and he has received the European Solar Award from Germany, Green Oscar, Ashden Award from UK, and the National Science Academy Gold Medal for his outstanding contribution in the field of solar energy. Recently, he has been awarded with the Mission Innovation Champions Award. I request Professor to kindly proceed with the welcome address. Sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, all international participants, and good afternoon to all Indian participants. I welcome you all in this international webinar being organized by International Solar Innovation Council, popularly known as InSIC. The council was formed by a few social scientists and environmentalists in 2017 with the objective to promote innovative renewable energy-based solution of rural energy problem. InSIC head office is located at Helsinki, Finland. InSIC is very active in India. You may visit InSIC website to know more about InSIC. You might be getting InSIC newsletter on regular basis. It contains high quality articles related to renewable energy and energy storage. Internationally, for the past few years, the shift to clean renewable energy has been a priority. The growing environmental awareness and reduction in prices of green energy has fueled this trend. Renewable energy program may be divided into two categories: grid connected and off-grid. The objective of InSIC is to support off-grid systems which are very relevant to India and other developing countries of the world. Off-grid RE projects have special values for rural areas of the developing countries. More than 1 billion people of this globe do not have access to electricity. Still, this is 2020. They largely use kerosene to light their homes and shops. They do not have irrigation facilities or proper sanitation. No drinking water is available in those villages due to absence of electricity. The villagers are unable to take up economic activities. The problem in those who are connected to the grid can't call themselves energy rich since they get electricity for just few hours in a day. It's very common in India. It is a village is electrified, but the village gets electricity only for few hours, or even they don't get electricity for days after days. The world is paying huge developmental costs for this energy poverty. Renewable energy can play a major role in solving the energy problem of rural areas of the developing world. Good news is that across the globe, many experiments are being conducted to solve energy problem of rural areas in an innovative manner. InSIC is interested to support such type of innovations. A large number of research institutions, NGOs, are working in off-grid renewable energy. There has been a lot of innovative activities in bioenergy-based cooking, solar lighting, water mills, solar-based drying, or micro-irrigation. However, there are many more areas where small research activities could be launched and solution may be suggested. There are innovative ideas, but small grant is needed to give a shape to those ideas. It is absolutely essential and very important. Food processing, drinking water, cooking, irrigation, cottage industries, clean rural transport, low energy consumption material are some of the priority areas where InSIC may extend their small financial support. Off-grid power system based on renewable and battery energy storage system are becoming a solution of great interest for rural electrification and urban microgrid. The energy storage system is one of the most crucial components in the distributed generation system. A good number of innovative activities are going on in India in energy storage technology. One such example is solar pump storage scheme. By utilizing energy storage scheme, it is possible to store energy in off-peak hours with lower cost and energize the grid during peak load intervals to avoid high prices spikes. The support of InSIC shall be restricted to prototype development and demonstration of innovative RE technologies. For example, improved version of microsolar dome or improved version of conventional solar dryer may be taken up under InSIC call. There are, of course, many more areas where innovative proposals may be formulated by the interested participants. Friends, InSIC is still in its infancy stage. We need to expand InSIC activities through your active participation. It is easy to become members of InSIC. Please go through our website. We need your active cooperation in expanding InSIC activities in India and other developing countries. I would request you to submit your proposal for consideration of InSIC. I am confident the webinar will be fruitful and strengthen renewable energy movement of India and other developing countries. We strongly believe the concept of small is beautiful. The small grant of InSIC will go a long way in solving acute rural energy problem of the developing world. I wish all success of today's webinar. I especially thank Dr. Sunil Agarwal from the IST Government of India, Professor Hasmi, Dr. Raghurama Das, and Mr. Risto for joining with us today as our guest speakers. I also thank Ms. Elena for agreeing to extend vote of thanks to the participants. Once again, I thank you all. Please enjoy the webinar for next 3 hours. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I'd request Mr. Risto Isomaki, who is the head of the grants committee, InSIC, will elaborate on the grants program as well as the objectives of InSIC. And Mr. Risto Isomaki is a famous Finnish author of science fiction books. He has received many awards for his publications. One of his award-winning books, which is The Sands of Saraswati, it is also a graphic novel, and it was gifted to me by him on his visit to India. I have enjoyed the book very much, and I would request everyone to read the same. Mr. Isomaki is the head of the InSIC Grants Committee, and I would request him to kindly elaborate on the program. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you, Richie, for your kind words. It's very nice to meet many old friends and many new people, even like this. This is the reality we are living at the moment. But InSIC actually launched the small grant or the pilot project program already early last year. But then this corona pandemic came and it made the total mess of all our plans and preparations. So actually, this far, only one project has been supported from the InSIC program. It is, but even we have only supported one project. I think it's a potentially rather important one. It could have a major potential, but I won't go into the details of that project because it will be introduced later in this seminar by Dr. Rekku Ramadas of Mitra Niketan. So I will speak a little bit more broadly about what is the plan at the moment. InSIC is planning to launch the second call for proposals relatively soon, within a few months, I would say. The idea or the main purpose of this seminar is to collect ideas and feedback on whether we should focus on a certain area or a couple of areas in this second call for proposals, because there are quite a few important areas and we cannot do everything at once. So we want to hear your ideas and comments on what might be the most urgent areas of work. Where should we start? Where should we focus in the beginning? What would be the priority and order of different things? But I could start by saying what we have actually already kind of decided in InSIC. The InSIC grants, they will not be about very big money. They will only, the idea is that we should provide rather small grants. This far we have been talking about 2,000 or 3,000 euros, perhaps a little bit more in the future, maximum 4 or 5, perhaps this has not been exactly decided. But the idea is that the small grant of InSIC would make it possible for a innovator, for a solar innovator, usually working in a rural area, to work for 6 or 12 months, developing a promising idea or innovation a little bit further. It can, of course, be asked whether such small grants can make a difference, but we have been thinking that they might actually be important because today there's a lack of small grants for rural solar innovators. We have a large number of major international organizations that are providing grants for different types of development projects, and they have a lot of money. But the problem is that they only concentrate in providing a very small number of rather large grants. This is because of the combination of two factors. One is that almost all the big international organizations, they have developed very complex bureaucracies and procedures. So there's a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy related to each single grant. It takes a lot of work, and this means that, and also the people who are working in different international organizations, they want to have rather high salaries. So when you have a very high level of salaries, you cannot have too many workers. And then when you also have a big bureaucracy for each project, that this is a kind of lethal combination, and it means that you cannot really fund many different small projects. You can only give funds to a very limited number of large projects. So we thought that this kind of a small pilot project program might have a role to play. And also we think that the growing InSIC global network of solar innovators who have been in the field for a longer time, we think that we might be of assistance to younger solar innovators in other ways as well. First of all, I think we have a pretty good idea of what already exists in different parts of the world. We know what there already is, and we have a good idea of in what areas we still lack something good enough. And many of us also have a rather good track record in having been able to identify the important innovations because that could become something significant before they have made their breakthroughs. Solar inventors, they are often boiling with very many ideas. They can have hundreds of different ideas. And it's sometimes difficult for a young inventor to decide what of all these dozens of hundreds of ideas could be the most relevant ones. So we might be able to help the younger solar innovators to focus well, to concentrate on those ideas that might have the greatest potential to provide significant breakthroughs and to help hundreds of millions of people. Also, we hope that our global network of old solar energy activists and inventors will expand little by little, so that we would have a growing number of older experts that might be willing to share their expertise, their experiences with younger colleagues, and who might be interested in sharing, exchanging ideas with younger colleagues. So this is the vision. We have not proceeded very far yet, partly because of largely because of the major complications caused by this coronavirus situation, but we are moving ahead, and this webinar is one step along the way. So this is the general framework, but I would also like to mention a few ideas about potential areas which might be important focal points for the small grant program. This is not the exhaustive list of what has been discussed inside the InSIC network. These are only meant to be examples. I want to mention a few examples about the discussions which have been going on in the InSIC networks to make this a little bit more practical, to bring the discussion to a more concrete, practical level. One thing which we have been discussing quite a lot is that we should find ways to solve the conflict, the land use conflicts and water use conflicts between food production and solar power production. So we need pilot projects, we need innovations, we need ideas how we can produce both food and solar power in the same area of land, so that the actual agricultural production can actually increase because of the production of solar energy and not be harmed by the production of solar energy. So the question is, how can we install, for example, solar panels on agricultural lands so that the installations of solar power act similarly as shade trees or shade nets, which are often used in tropical agriculture to reduce evaporation of water and to reduce the temperature to a more optimal level from the viewpoint of photosynthesis. This is one very important area. Also, we have to find ways how we can use the water that is used to wash the solar panels so that it can become irrigation water in agricultural fields. Second area, which I'm personally very worried about, is something that could be called methane holocaust. Because there is now a lot of debate in the north, especially about how the combination of eutrophication caused by mostly animal agriculture and global warming is increasing the methane emissions from lakes. In the northern hemisphere, we have hundreds of millions of hectares of shallow lakes that are many of whom which are becoming eutrophied by agriculture, and they have this far produced very little methane because the temperatures have been too low. But according to experiments conducted in Denmark and in Finland, if the temperature in our latitudes increases by a couple of degrees, these northern lakes start to produce between 6 and 17 times more methane than they are producing now. For example, in Sweden, it is now estimated that Sweden's lakes are producing as much greenhouse gas emissions as the traffic sector in Sweden. And if I don't really want to think what will happen if these emissions increase by 17 times. So we need solar innovations. We need to think whether there could be some kind of a solar powered solutions that would keep the waters in the northern lakes oxygenated so that they would not be producing huge amounts of methane. This is also a problem in the tropical areas where eutrophied water bodies can actually produce even larger methane emissions than in the northern latitudes. One important area is that heating houses is producing about 10% of our greenhouse gas emissions, and cooling houses is producing another 10% of our greenhouse gas emissions. And according to one estimate that is commonly quoted, the power of energy, the amount of energy needed for cooling the houses will increase 3 times within the last 30 years. So if we don't find better ways to keep our houses cool, cooling buildings could produce 3 times more greenhouse gas emissions than at the moment. There should be different kind of solar innovations that could answer this rather major problem. One that we have been thinking inside the InSIC network is that whether there could be ways to change the reflectivity of buildings so that they would reflect a lot of sunlight straight back to space during the warm season and absorb more sunlight during the cold season. So is there a way of making buildings, roofs and walls black during the winter when more heat is needed, and white or otherwise reflective during the summer when it's too hot? Could there be, for example, some kind of mats that are black on the other side and white on the other side, and which could be rolled over the roof or on the walls? Or could there be plates that are similarly black from the other side and white from the other side? Would it be possible to solve a major part of this cooling and heating problem with some kind of solutions like this? Or could we use salt solutions to control the humidity inside the houses so that less heating and cooling is needed? Or could we use some biological material like mosses, dried mosses and lichen to control humidity inside buildings so that we need less heating energy and less cooling energy? But of course, if we use this kind of solutions, we also need a way to dry the salts and to try the biological material. Perhaps Mithra-Niketans, food dryer or modifications of that could be used to solve this problem. One of the biggest challenges still is that we would find better ways to provide cheap and clean cooking energy for the world's 2 billion poorest people. Because we still have in the world about 400 million traditional biomass cooking stoves. They are producing perhaps 30 or 40% of all the soot emissions in the world. And according to climate scientists, soot entering in the atmosphere is heating the planet almost as much as the extra carbon dioxide, which have been accumulated in the atmosphere. We still don't have a perfect solution to this. This is one of the areas where we need better innovations. Improved cooking stoves that have tiny fans using a couple of watts of power, they might be one of the solutions, but we should then be able to provide the power for the poor somehow. Perhaps equipping the micro solar domes developed by Professor Konchaudhuri by wires, and that could also power the fans of these improved cooking stoves. They might be one option, or perhaps the improved cooking stove should be equipped with small solar panels, or perhaps there are some other ways of doing it. The shift in the production of solar panels from silicon to perovskite might be one of the solutions. We will hear more about this later. According to some experts, if we shift to perovskite, it might be possible to produce photovoltaic cells even dozens of times cheaper than they are now being produced. This might mean that it would become economically feasible to use even solar power as cooking energy for the poor, because in this kind of system we wouldn't need complex installations. We wouldn't need any inverters. We would only need a solar panel and some wiring and something that is converting the power to heat. And also one one area of interest is whether perovskite solar panels could be used as building elements in the housing for the poor families. These are only examples of some of the things we have been discussing inside the InSIC network. There are many other areas, but I'm mentioning these examples to give you the idea of the problem we are facing at the moment. I also want to hear your proposals about what you think that is the most, what are the most important things. But we are at the moment, we should somehow decide whether we should keep the second call for small grants, whether we, or the call for proposals, whether we should keep it open so that all kinds of ideas can enter, or whether we should focus on one area or a couple of areas in the beginning, and then after 1 year focus into another area. We don't know what would be the best way to proceed. So, but we can today discuss about this. Thank you.
Mr. Isto, thank you for your presentation. Now, I would just take some time. We are running in schedule, so I'd just like to take some time to explore the InSIC website. So I would like to show the audience the InSIC website that we have now. I'll just present the InSIC website. So this is the InSIC website. You can go to solarinnovations.org, which is www.solarinnovations.org. If you go there, this InSIC website will open, and I'll just take you through the pages that we have here. This is the objective. You can read more about here, and some news and articles are also posted every now and then in the InSIC website. And this project specially is being done by Dr. Rekurama Das of Mitra Niketan, and he'll explain this in his presentation. And many more articles have been published in the InSIC website. All the core support groups can also provide their articles, which we can also publish in the InSIC website. NBIT has provided some of their articles in here also. If you go down, there are some other things. This is the members. These are the members of InSIC. And if you go down, you can subscribe to our newsletter. So when you click this subscribe now button, it will take you to the subscribe page. And then we publish our InSIC newsletters, and you can subscribe to them, and you can receive the InSIC newsletter, the latest information about grants and other programs InSIC wishes to conduct or to organize. And here we have about InSIC, a page in which you see all the information about InSIC, how InSIC has been created, and who are in the board members, and you can also contact us. So this is explained in the About Us section. You can go to the news and articles section also. There you can find several articles which are posted on solar energy and alternative energy also. And this article has been posted by, given by Vishwabharati University. And NBIT has also given 1 or 2 articles under seed program of DST. You can see some projects were done, and you can go through that. So next is I'll take you through the forum section. In the forum section, we have several topics. This is a new section. It has just been launched for the motive that we are going to post some topics in here, and experts and all students also, all the people from academia and industry also can discuss about a topic. So like I posted one topic here, that is the pump storage, the most viable form of large scale storage of solar energy. So this kind of topics will be posted from now, and we can comment on the topic. So for commenting, what we have to do is we have to create an account in InSIC. This is a very, it's a 2-3 minute process, and the account can be created very easily, and we can comment on that. A discussion can be started upon that. And like here I have commented also. So I would request all the people from academia, students, industries, and all the experts, also scientists working in several fields, so they can also contribute, they can also comment on these topics. And you can also request a topic. So here we have a section, the request or propose to start a discussion or topic. And here we have you can fill your details and description of the topic. You can send it to us, and we can post it in the InSIC website, and the discussion can be started upon that. So next we have our grants page. Here we can go to grant applications, and in order to submit proposals, you have to go to this page, which is the grant applications. Here we will find the grant opportunities which we have here. The first InSIC call for grants, which is the small grants for innovative solar energy demonstration projects. This was on, and this started on 2nd of October 2019, and it is now closed. And now InSIC's second call for grants will be announced today, and this is upcoming. So all the documents of the grants, which are call for grant applications, guide for applications and submission of forms, all of this can be found in this section. So all of you, if you want to apply for this grant, you can go come here to this page, and you can download all the forms, and you can send it to applications@solarinnovations.org. All the information is given here. So next we would go to the gallery. We have a small gallery section also, and in this gallery section we have some pictures and also of several innovations which have been made, and several programs InSIC has done. Next we go to memberships. It's a very crucial area. So I would request all of you who are present here, who are not members of InSIC, to kindly become members, and I'll show you through the process. So now if you go to membership, we have two kinds of memberships. One is the individual membership, and one is the organizational membership. So if I click on the individual membership, if any person wants to become a member of InSIC, so they have to go to this page, and they have to apply for the membership by clicking here. So once we click here, it will take us to the flow members page, where we have to fill in some details for the application of membership. It's you have to fill up some details like first name, last name, email address, mobile, and postcode. These are all the fields we have to provide. And after we provide all the details, then we have to choose GDPR approval for EU members, and then we have to click submit. Then InSIC board will process the membership, and after that a small membership fees is there, which is 20 euros. This is for individual membership. This is the minimum membership fees annually. So this is all about individual membership. If you want to know more, then you can visit the InSIC website. So all the details are given here. And next I would like to take you to the organizational membership page. If any organization, big or small, by big I mean large companies, and by small I mean medium and small scale NGOs which are there. So all of them can become a member. So all the criteria are given here. And for small NGOs and science and technology groups, the membership fees is 50 euros. And for large companies, it's 1,000 euros annually. So in order to apply for the membership, we have to fill up the organizational form, Here is the form, and we can register here. And anybody, so InSIC supports a lot of projects, a lot of activities done through InSIC. These activities are done, and if you want to become a part of these activities, you can of course join InSIC. And there is a special button. This is the donate button for somebody who wants to donate to our cause to promote solar energy innovations. So they can do that. So this is all about the InSIC website. Again, I would request you to go to the InSIC small grants program for all of you who are willing to apply for the grants. On the main page, if you see, you can click on this banner, which will also take you to the grant page. So at the bottom of this home page, as I informed you before, so you can go to the subscribe now button. So it will take you to the newsletter. So this is all about the InSIC website. Now we move on to the presentations by our experts. I'll just stop presenting. So we'll move on to the presentation by our experts. And I would request the audience that you can ask questions, but these questions should be in the chat box. So I would request everyone to keep their questions or to post their questions in the chat box. And after all the experts and the presenters do their presentations, so they can, I will take the questions from the chat box and ask directly to the presenters. And if some questions are not taken from the chat box, then it will be posted in the InSIC website. And I would request all the speakers to address these questions, as these questions will again be visible in the InSIC website. So I think Dr. Sunil Agarwal sir is here. I would request Dr. Sunil Kumar Agarwal, who holds the position of Scientist E in the Seat Division of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He is in charge of the Innovation, Technology Development and Deployment, and also of Policy Coordination and Program Management Division. The Seat Division provides long-term core support to presently 27 core support groups working on various science and technology fields for developing affordable, need-based innovations to ensure decent living conditions and improve livelihood generation for people living in rural areas. So these groups are located all around the country, and most of the groups are also present today in this webinar. I also thank all the core support groups for participating in the program. I hope all the core support groups will submit their call for proposals today in the grants program. I now request Dr. Agarwal to kindly proceed with his presentation on promotion of clean energy in Indian villages through innovation. Sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. I would request Apurva to kindly present the PDF file of sir. Yes, thank you. So you can put it in read mode. Okay, thank you. Sir, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Richik. And on my behalf and Department of Science and Technology, I would like to thank organizers, InSIC, NVIRT, Mr. Risto, Elena, and others who are there on this platform. This is just to share the experiences we have in DST in implementing some action research projects for societal benefits, and in particular in the renewable energy sector. Next slide, please. So in Department of Science and Technology, we have one division, Science for Equity, Empowerment and Development Division, where we used to support technology-oriented programs and projects, and which is particularly at the grassroots level involving academic institutions, R&D labs, as well as science-based NGOs, which you see here. Richik has mentioned 26 core-supported organizations, which are working under the TARA scheme of Department of Science and Technology. They receive long-term support, and they used to work at the grassroots level, and they address the local challenges through technological solution, maybe farm or non-farm sector, renewable energy, water, and so on. Even if you see the Science Technology Innovation Policy 2013 also highlight the role of NGOs or community-based organizations, because they are the local institutions which are directly connected to the society, and they know the problems and challenges and aspirations of the people in the remote and rural areas, and how technological solution can be scouted and delivered as per the local needs. Next slide, please. So with all these efforts, focus of all the programs is there on supporting inclusive growth and improved livelihoods. When we talk about the rural areas, these are the essential pillars which requires attention and interventions, promoting economic diversifications and access to services like rural energy and ensuring sustainability and harnessing the benefit of natural resources. That's what we are talking about, the solar power interventions, and promoting inclusiveness equity by involving the deprived section of the society, maybe women or disabled people also. So these are the pathways where we used to give focus of the program. Next slide, please. So if you see our interventions, the programs mostly look into the social equity and inclusion through technological empowerment, and also simultaneously addressing the ecological and economic efficiency. And that's what we believe the key striker for sustainable development. And when we talk about the inclusive growth or inclusive development. Next slide, please. So these are the cross-cutting issues when we talk about the social development or the impact, the livelihood, social empowerment, and 3A technology. When we are talking about the technology, we believe in appropriateness, affordable, and adaptable at the user level or the community level. So we have to strike a proper balance in these three cross-cutting issues, and that is the purpose of the program, Science and Society program of Department of Science and Technology, where we used to look these cross-cutting issues, each and every project, to benefit and empower the community at large through technology interventions. Next slide, please. So these initiatives are being taken under the particular scheme, that is the technological advancement for rural areas, and this is a grant being provided in the phase manner 5 years, and they used to work and deliver need-based and scalable technologies at the grassroots level, and focusing on better quality of life through action research, and which may lead to social enterprise, not a pure enterprise, but mini and micro kind of social enterprise, which can lead to income, but also the improvement in their quality of life. And we have at present 26 such organizations across the country who are working under this program. And these are some of the photographs, like NVRT, which is hosting this webinar. They have come out with a solution micro solar dome. Dr. Gaun Chaudhary has got the patent on that. And paper recycling, this is from Development Alternative. They have the different packages, technology packages with economics. And third one is the microwavable terracotta pot, which is by the IRTC, earlier supported by DST, based in Kerala. Next slide, please. So these are the thematic focus and actions which we believe in executing this program involving the S&T capable NGOs. Focus is on income generation, clean and green environment, and empowering the communities. So we look, if you see in the right side, social outcomes, environmental outcome, economic outcome. That is the bottom of the at the bottom of the pyramid, with triple bottom line impacts, and impacting at the community level by using such pathways, and that to nurture green ecosystem. Next slide, please. So our focus on the programs is also there now. In the at the country level, we are having a call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India, self-reliant villages. Focus is on indigenous and green technologies, and create local job and build resilience, enhancing production efficiency through application of technologies, and enhancing livelihood and quality of services through application of appropriate and affordable technologies which can be absorbed and adopted by the community. You can see some of the renewable energy like intervention. Right side, you can see this is a micro solar dome installed in the Manipur, and in the center it is a water mill from the HESCO, and they are working on the water power and multi-purpose use of water mill. And in the center, in the bottom, you see this is one of the group, Barefoot College, based in Telonia, Rajasthan. They have come out with solar power Edu box, which is being used not in country but outside country also. They have the network of 90 schools in the rural areas where dropout students are being educated by using such devices. Next slide, please. So our interventions through this program are need-based technological solutions to address the local challenges. And these are some of the interventions which has been carried out through a network of these core-supported organizations in the energy sector, in the biotechnology field, and in other sectors as well. Next slide, please. So this slide, we have captured some of the technologies, product which has been designed and developed by this network of core-supported organization. You can find some of related to energy, solar water heating system for the mountain areas by Himalaya Research Group in Simla, and solar tunnel by Sperry based in Gujarat. And we also have some groups who are working on the biogas system at the community level, Aarti Pune, and another group is working in the Kanyakumari, that is Vivekanand Kendra. So these are the interventions which are in demand and which has been evolved through the emerging need at the community level. Next slide, please. So that's what you can see in this slide, particularly about the renewable energy kind of interventions, which is for space heating by the HRG Simla, and dryer has been developed by Seed Hyderabad. This is another group working in Hyderabad, and they have developed varieties of dryer of different capacities for drying the fruit pulp or making some value-added products, and also the minor forest produce, making the powder and even also some syrup. And at the bottom, this is the dome dryer designed and developed by Vigyan Ashram, one of the core group based in Pune, and biogas system, which I told you, Vivekanand Kendra from Kanyakumari. Next slide, please. And these are other interventions which has been carried out by these groups. One group is based in Bangalore, Tide Bangalore. They have come out with energy efficient cooking devices. And this is a micro solar dome, which is designed and developed by NVIRT. So these are the efforts and initiatives which are need-based and addressing the problem at the community level in remote part of the country. Next slide, please. I have also tried to capture some of these groups who are working particularly in the clean energy solutions. And these are the intervention on the left side which they have done. And right side, you can see these are the innovative core groups who are working on renewable energy technologies. And these are some of the interventions which we have also captured in our technology compendium, which we have put on our dsttara.in website. And that website, you can source such technology intervention and the agencies who have designed and developed such renewable energy related products and the technologies. Next slide, please. So this is the detail about the dome dryer developed by Vigyan Ashram. The beauty is that in the small space, the capacity is large, and this is mostly being used for leafy vegetables and some herbal products to dry and make the powder. So these are the interventions which is engineering designed and using the Fab Lab facility which Vigyan Ashram has. And such interventions are really in demand and being scaled further. Next slide, please. This is another product from Vigyan Ashram. They have come out with the domestic egg incubator because large scale capacities which are not affordable and adaptable in the rural areas by the SHGs or small groups of farmers. So they have worked on the scale and design it. This is also available with the grid power and the solar powered model, which is designed, and they have come out with the economics with the return on investment in 8 months, and they have sold number of units, and there is a linkage with the knowledge institution like Mahatma Phule Krishi Vidyalaya in Maharashtra and KVK. So these are the interventions which they are doing also not only on their own, but also having the linkage with the knowledge institution or R&D labs. It is really helping to design based on the scientific principle such technology products. Next slide, please. In the same way, this is a very affordable product developed by Himalaya Research Group in Himachal Pradesh. And this is really to address the problem which you can see and to provide some income or employment to the local artisans or fabricators in designing such double ball these frame, and it really helped to reduce the indoor pollution, which you can see in the right side. Traditionally they are using the fuel wood, and there are a lot of data about the creation of carbon footprint, and such eco-friendly devices which has been developed by HRG is not only helping in the heating, water heating, was also they have tried in the space heating, and they have captured in the 6 districts such devices, and also in the Ladakh region. Next slide, please. So these are the specific designs, and you see how it is going to benefit in terms of heating the water, and also the reducing the fuel wood consumptions and reducing the women drudgery. And more than 1,000 units have been installed by HRG in different part of the Himachal Pradesh, and also state government is coming forward to support such initiative, and they have got the State Innovation Award for such innovative work, which Mr. Risto is also mentioning, looking for the solar waste innovation. This is one of the example in this process. Next slide, please. There are other interventions which is now from NV Institute of Rural Technology, which Dr. Gaun Chaudhary is trying to innovate, come out each year a one or two products, and this is solar powered biometric that ATM, and it is being field tested and supported by DST, of course, and now we are looking to get support from banking institutions for large scale application and adoption in the other rural areas as well. Next slide, please. This is another initiative by other group, Aarti Pune, and they have come out with a product which is for disposal of solid municipal waste or gram panchayat waste, and this is an incinerator which they have designed, and there is a small dryer which can be used at the local level from another core group, MCRC, based in Chennai. Next slide, please. What Mr. Risto was talking about, the energy efficient cooking devices. So one of the group based in Bangalore, they are working on such devices, and they have come out with the calculation for such devices of different scale used in the dhabas and other places, in the restaurants, and it has shown the potential not only in reducing the carbon footprints, but also reducing the drudgery involved in such process, and also the clean energy solutions. That's what they have come out, and this is in collaboration with ISC Bangalore. They have done that. So this is a kind of, you see the process in technology evolution process, which involves the knowledge institution as well as the science-based volunteer organizations, which we used to call core support organizations. Next slide, please. So these are the products which have been designed and developed by Tide Bangalore. Next slide, please. And these are some of the details of the packages in terms of investment, payback period, and advantage in fuel saving, cost saving, and better air quality, and others, what raw material is being used. So these are some of the details which we have tried to capture for such technology products. Next slide, please. Besides such interventions, some groups, these core groups have worked on the creation of micro enterprises, food-based enterprises, and they have come out with a varieties of nutrient fruit bars using the solar dryer by Seed Hyderabad, and even one group, HESCO, in Dehradun, and they have worked on the mountain produce and using the same dryer. So there is a technology flow from one organization to another, and they are working on the local produce, and this slight changes for the need as per the climatic condition to control the inner environment for humidity or temperature. And this is another on the right side, you can see the dried product by Tide Bangalore. So these are the collective efforts and interlinkages within the core groups, which are really helping to grow and nurture as the technology innovation groups. Next slide, please. So you can see these kind of products which are being made, engaging the women and empowering them by adding value to local resources. In mountain area, they are using the traditional crops like millets for adding value to local resources, and also the nutrient education within the community, and impact is in terms of drug reduction, revival of crop diversity, and scientific processing and economic benefits. Next slide, please. So this is another case of Seed Hyderabad, where you can see the complete technology package is there with the details about the job potential and payback period of around 4 to 5 years, and 200 plus micro enterprises have been created through such products, which is being promoted now by Seed Hyderabad, and they are really working on the scaling of such initiative and efforts at the village level. Next slide, please. So these are some of the details of these products, and they also have technology know-how, not in India but outside India as well. Next slide, please. Besides, there is some intervention that has been carried out under mountain program. We have a specific program, technology intervention in mountain ecosystem, and this is the product from the Bias Parmar University, and they have designed and developed indirect solar dryer for drying of fruits, vegetables, specific to the mountain regions, and they have tried to control the conditions within these products and to control the humidity and airflow as well. Next slide, please. So these are some of the specific features while designing this such type of dryer for use in mountain areas, and easy to fabricate by local artisans. That is the real importance, how we can revive the artisans and their livelihoods. Next slide, please. There is another group, Development Alternative, based in Delhi, and they have their working areas in Bundelkhand and other part of the country, and they have also come out with green technological solution in building material, paper recycling, and creating enterprises at the small and micro level. Next slide, please. And this is what they have come with a technological solution as a recycling enterprises from idea to experiment. That is what all core groups are working in the same principle: prototype development, field testing, proof of concept, and market validation, and then high impact scaling up efforts. So this they are using, they have designed and developed a paper recycling unit where they are using the solar waste drying system and making the varieties of value-added products of different type and for different purposes. Next slide, please. And this is the detail about these packages, paper recycling and waste to weave. Two packages are there which we have been able to get, and the payback period is also given around 2 to 3 years. Next slide, please. And this is another initiative which, because you know the area of Operation Bundelkhand in UP and MP border, this is the area where water shortage is really a problem, and women have to spend 4 to 5 hours to fetch the water from distant sources. So as per the need, DA has designed the community-owned model and operated water supply system, and that is operational, and it is really helping not for drinking but irrigation as well. Next slide, please. And this is the complete working mechanism of such models and for sustainable water services, and with maintenance of the system by engaging the youth and women in the village system. Next slide, please. So this is the kind of impact. 550 plus families are being benefited, and engaging the women and youth in income generation activities, because they are also engaged in maintenance and repair of such systems, and it is based on the payment system. So it is really helping and enhancing social impact and outreach of such technological interventions, which are being developed and evolved by such science-based volunteer organizations. Next slide, please. And this is about the particularly when we are talking about the Bundelkhand that is not having the quality of water, and we have other areas of intervention in the mountain area. These are the initiative in terms of water mill, which are being designed and developed by one of the group, HESCO, and they are working on the variety of turbines. And another group is working, which is NVRT. They have worked on the micro solar dome, and which is being promoted and being field tested in varied climatic conditions involving these core groups. That's what the support DST had provided to NVRT and other core groups, so that it is really catching up. Next slide, please. And these are different types of turbine which have been designed and tested by HESCO Dehradun. Next slide, please. So how we are going to scale up such efforts at our level? So we have one program around the protected area. These technology, micro solar dome or water mill or solar dryer, these are being promoted through other programs around the protected areas to engaging and involving the communities who are resource dependent communities to provide them alternative livelihood and reduce their dependency on the forest resources for fuel wood or for other purposes. Next slide, please. So these are some of the interventions which you can see are being made through these programs and connecting the dots. Whatever the interventions or technology products are coming from the core groups being used in other programs for scaling up or benefiting the community at large in the remote and rural areas, and particularly around the protected areas, which we have more than 700 protected areas across the country. Next slide, please. So these are the social and environmental impact through such initiative. If you can see the reduced drudgery and reduced pressure on natural resources and contributing directly or indirectly towards climate change adaptations, and also addressing human-wildlife conflict. And these are the joint modes of governance from understanding to action research. Next slide, please. If you see in terms of technologies, this is the total impact of the program for last 3 years, and grassroots level, and also addressing the specific UN SDGs, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 13 for climate actions and clean energy solutions. That is SDG 7, I think so. Next slide, please. So this is the national footprint of these core groups. They believe in working collectively and also with the community, and they also are a think tank at the local level and do innovations for addressing the local problem and challenges. Next slide, please. So this is the compendium which have been brought out, and you can see on the right side, this is the website dsttara.in. We have captured some of the technologies related to energy or agriculture or water related technologies or digital technologies which have been captured and showcased in this compendium, which is available on the dsttara.in. This is the website being maintained by one of the core group, Vigyan Ashram, based in Pune. You can have details on the website, please. Next slide, please. So besides what impact these groups are creating, how the technology flow local on the global level. You can see water mill technologies have been adopted by the forest department, not only in the Uttarakhand, but also in the northeastern regions. And micro solar dome technology also have the technology flow in other nearby countries. In the Bangladesh also we have a discussion in the Finland when a team of core groups visited 2 years back. And paper recycling unit from Development Alternative also have the outreach in the South African countries, and solar dehydration technology by Seed Hyderabad. It is also have outreach and connect in the outside India, Australia, Saudi Arabia, and fuel efficient cooking devices by Tide Bangalore has goes recognition by the Niti Aayog, and also being supported by NABARD UNDP for women entrepreneurship. And solar water heating system by Himalayan Research Group Simla, of course, got recognition through State Innovation Award, and also it is picking up, and state agencies and other agencies are coming forward to support such affordable devices which can be maintained locally and can be fabricated by local artisans. Next slide, please. So these are some of the challenges when these groups or the volunteer organizations are working, and that we are trying to address through another platform, technology packaging, accreditation, and validations. And of course, financial linkages are there to demonstrate worthiness of rural enterprises through such innovations. That's what InSIC is coming forward in the energy sector. And one of the core group, Mithniketan, is being supported. And I think Raghu is presenting the details about the work carried out by them. And now second call is coming. That's what we are looking forward, that these core groups also will be part of that process. And they will come some innovative ideas which can be taken up by InSIC for the benefit of the society at large. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the enterprises also, because if we are looking for the sustainable livelihood, so we also look for the sustainable technologies. That's what we are emphasizing at the country level in the next science and technology innovation policies. We are looking for sustainable technologies in the mainstream. And of course, focus should continue on the scaling of traditional indigenous technologies. And we look for the self-sufficiency and self-reliance at the village level by building the local capacities and skill to address the issues of equity, empowerment, and development in rural landscapes. And here we feel the engagement of academic institutions and NGOs in collaboration and synergy is required to ensure the social scientific responsibility, as well engaging the corporate sectors and providing the market linkages and social enterprises for scaling up such efforts from village to village and community and block to block and district and so on, from local to global. That's what the chain reaction has to be ignited and which is happening now. Next slide, please. And Mr. Risto was mentioning that is the impact which the current COVID crisis is creating. And we are looking to revive the economy through such field-based organizations in the rural setup and the rural landscape. And that is required really the right time to revive the economy and to work with the communities and to address the problem and the challenges which are there for employment, job creations, etc., and adding value to local resources and skill for development of product and services up to the value chain. And it requires soft skill development and address the social needs involving the different age groups and pandemic digital interference and bring down the carbon footprint. That is the emerging issues. And of course, social enterprise, which needs to be boosted with the external research program with the scale and speed. Next slide, please. So you see, this is the process approach which we believe in working with these core groups and within the DST for society program. Based on the need, we go for the technology scouting and appropriateness or scaling and adoption and capacity building or skilling of the community and people or community at the top, which are going to benefit it or empowered in terms of equity and inclusion. And on the left side, you see for sustainable livelihood, we have 3A approach: appropriate, affordable, and adaptable technologies, and being supported from Government of India, Department of Science and Technology, involving S&T institutions and science-based volunteer organizations for technical backup and social engineering. So this is a triangle model, which is under the TARA scheme of Department of Science and Technology, trying to connect technology for the society with last mile connectivity. Next slide, please. And this is, you see, we see all these partners as a national building organizations. And this is the model which Vigyanes Ashram has shown, involving the children from the school, colleges, and also our core groups like NGOs, and then coming forward through incubation to the business as a social enterprise. So this is a kind of process mechanism which we see as a future for evolving and working for self-reliant India or self-reliant villages. Next slide, please. And that is the focus now, is a village-centric rather than city-centric growth, because India lives in the villages. So need is to nurture rural and social entrepreneurs ecosystem, and technology should be at the speed with the scale and sustainability, and it requires collective action. That's what we are trying in this process. NVRT and InSIC, they are also trying for collective actions involving R&D labs and field-based agencies like the core groups and the community for impact at the bottom of the pyramid. Next slide, please. And this is what ultimately we look at the impact and the smile of the faces of the communities. This is one of the photographs we have tried to capture from the mountain areas in the Kullu, and they are the technology users, and they are involved in the process by the program being run by WWF India. And this is from our side, from DST, to share some of the experiences we have in technological innovations at the grassroots level. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Just one question is there from Anamika, from Friends of Environment. She's saying that how can an organization apply for core support?
Oh, they can apply online. There used to be call on DST website, and they can apply. There is a format for the particularly for core support that is under the TARA scheme. All schemes and program of DST are available on the DST website. You can go through that, and then you can upload your proposal as per the format and the guidelines.
Thank you so much, sir. I hope Anamika has got the answer. Thank you for your presentation, sir. Now we move to our next speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We move to our next speaker, Professor Ghufran Hashmi. Professor Hashmi is the Assistant Professor of Printed Electronics at the University of Oulu, Finland. He has been involved in developing next generation of photovoltaic devices, in particularly dye-sensitized solar cells and perovskite solar cells based photovoltaic technologies. I would request Dr. Hashmi kindly proceed with his presentation. Professor Hashmi, can you hear us? Professor, you can proceed with your presentation. Okay, Apurva, can you see to it? Professor is saying he has no control for the microphone and the camera setting. Can something be done?
No, from our side it is on.
Professor Hashmi, can you try one more time by? Okay, now it's on. Okay. I think Professor microphone is creating some problem in the system.
Yes, sir. Please allow the microphone for this browser, sir.
Okay, so Apurva is saying that you can allow this. You can leave and then again join, sir, if that can help. Sir, meanwhile, there is a question for Sunil, sir, from Professor Das Sarkar from WBUT. She says that for DST seed, we may give the students some financial support for fulfilling the project. So she says that if there is some opportunity for the students to get financial support from seed.
No, for a student, there is a separate wing, National Council for Science Communication, NCSTC division is there. So such kind of projects may be supported by the NCSTC. You can visit the DST website and you can get the details for that. For engaging the students or schools in that. NCSTC
Hello.
division.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yes, yes,
Can you-
Professor Ashmi, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm very sorry for all this kind of things. So just a
Yes.
second,
Yes, okay.
because this is the very first time, and can you all see my screen now?
We can all see you, and now we can see your screen also. Yes.
Okay, I'm very sorry because this is the very first time I have been I'm using this software. Mostly
Yes.
like I speak on Zoom. So hello everyone. Without delaying any further, so let me introduce myself. So or even like the host has already introduced. So I have recently joined. I have recently joined the Information Technology and Electrical Engineering faculty of University of Oulu. And before that, I was associated for more than a decade at Aalto University, Finland. So here, like I have recently established my lab, and now I'm building up my group. So let's start with the good news. So I have not very recently, but in last January, I received this massive funding, like around 600,000 euros, for the development of a low cost solar cell technology, which I have been involved in. But then after I received this funding, so I also, like after 2 weeks, I also got the good news for the faculty kind of offer in University of Oulu. So this project, it was also moved, and it has recently started, like from 1st of August. It's a great pleasure because I had also like participated in the first meetup. So there, like I had started like one more project that was financed by Business Finland with a massive funding of, and it was actually jointly funded between Aalto University and Business Finland. So that was kind of around 0.76 million euros funding that was given to develop the perovskite technology, which I am going to speak about. So we all know that the trends like in this PV manufacturing has drastically changed, and now like China and I would say that this manufacturing has shifted from, let's say, Europe to kind of more like towards Asia. And of course, like China and India and US are becoming like kind of the emerging players. So because I have also been residing in Europe for more than a decade, so as a kind of for example, Finland, like if you see, so as a small country, like so you think that can we somehow bring back all this kind of factories that were producing like both panels and also like the solar cell. So I would like to share like one more slide. So this is a slide like on the left, when I was on my research mobility to a Swiss company called Solaronics. So there, like I was like involved in developing a very unique solar cell technology. And on the right side, like within 4 years, so that on my left side, you can see that a small tile that was like comprised of just 10 by 10 square centimeter glass substrate, and we were like just printing the small cells on it. And after 4 years, like so we recently have successfully kind of scaled up the technology on this 40 by 40 square centimeter tile. So, and when I posted this, like on the LinkedIn, because this is like I count a more effective way of getting citations rather than you publish article and then you wait for that until all the people are going to like cite your article. This is the quickest way, like, and then it received like massive kind of attention, and then like almost nearly like 100K views like were achieved like in few days, and for a reason like which I'm going to explain that why it was there. Because a lot of people like are working on perovskites. So the reason was that most of the people on the left side there is a device structure which can be fabricated like by using a small kind of spin coating kind of device in a lab. And like, okay, if somebody is following this next generation based photovoltaic devices kind of field, so these perovskite solar cells, like these lab size efficiencies have drastically improved, like from, let's say, 3 to 4% to now almost like crossing over 25% in this kind of 1 square centimeter base kind of lab size devices. However, like, so we all know that, okay, perovskite solar cells can be fabricated into like many kind of configurations. So there is an interesting configuration, like, which I worked like dedicatedly. And with that, like, so I have been involved in developing it. And today I would like to like share some thoughts about it, which the data which we have published. So the first thing, like, you take like a glass substrate, and then like, you can coat like all these active materials by scalable methods. And then like kind of, you can really like, have a device. So this first work like related to this structure was that you just coat like the electron transporting layer, and then insulating zirconia or aluminum oxide kind of layer. And then you can print like the abundantly available like carbon nanoparticle based kind of layer. So that works as a whole transporting kind of, or whole collecting layer. And then like from the top, like you infiltrate the perovskite precursor that goes through the pores, and then like when you heat up the substrate, so then it crystallizes. But what was happening before, like, my work, this work, that like people were like manually infiltrating the perovskite precursor ink, and that was creating a huge problem, because like, in order to develop any new kind of nanotechnology, you have to be kind of, make sure that you should produce it with highly reliable process control. Meaning that, like, okay, every active layer you deposit, it should be like reproducible. And like, for example, if you are adopting like some kind of scalable methods such as slot die coating or inkjetting, or like even like, the screen printing, so then like, that allows this kind of, the same amount of paste or the liquid ink dispensation, so that like in the end, when you fabricate any kind of, module or a batch of a module, so then it should give kind of a reproducible result. So this was the first challenge, that, okay, that how to, infiltrate with so precision that, so that you could get some reproducible result out of this. So you can see, and before this work, like, there was huge variation in the solar to electrical energy conversion because of this kind of, uncontrollable, liquid penetration and kind of, dispersion within the porous structure. So this, like, for the first time we showed like, a precise infiltration method. As you can see on the right side, we demonstrated the inkjet printing of the perovskite precursor ink, and then how nicely and with a reliable process control, because the ink dispensation was kind of very controlled. So then you can really like, create some small features. Like on the right side also, like even we printed Professor Gretzel's like a picture in this article. So that was to demonstrate that, okay, so with this work, like kind of, we improved like the reliable process control. And this work is also like patented with a US patent application. And what was the motivation of this work? That we had already, like, because I have also been actively working on die solar cells, which can also be printed like, with the scalable methods. So there was kind of like some kind of unwanted processes. For example, the infiltration of the liquid electrolyte. So you drilled the holes like on the back on the counter electrode of the cell, and then you infiltrate the liquid electrolyte in it. So not only that it covers like the extra area because of the drill holes, but also like the extra cost like, occurs because you have to seal this hole with a thermoplastic and also a glass cover. So we had replaced successfully by showing that, okay, you can even inkjet print like directly this kind of ionic liquid based electrolyte directly on the titania, and then with the hole free, you can, substrate of counter electrode, you can kind of seal the device, which do not only suppress this non-active area, but then also contribute to kind of, the performance enhancement. Similarly, like, you can see these colors that, okay, this dye sensitization process, like, after coating the titanium layer on the FTO glass, you directly dip in the dye solution. Anybody who is working in this field, so that they know what do I mean. And then like you grow a mono layer of this dye solution, on the titanium kind of layer, through the anchoring groups. So you cannot like introduce like multiple dyes, like, because in the larger spectrum, if you see that, okay, like the normal inkjet printers which we connect with the like with the computer, so they have also the CMYK and then RGB kind of cartridges. So the active motivation is that, as you can see on the right side, there are 3 photographs, like one was me and then 2 of like this co-author. So it is like in only red color, and it's an active solar cell. Okay, but the motivation is that, okay, if we can like introduce this multiple dyes, so then can we generate this kind of similar to kind of like the digital printing. So can you produce a photograph as a function of solar cell? So that is like kind of the motivation. So we had successfully developed some proof of concept, and that was the motivation to adopt like this inkjet infiltration or printing of this perovskite. So that went like very successful, and then we were able to show a very tunable kind of performance by controlling this amount of the lead halide perovskite precursor. And not only that, it improved like systematically the performance, but like we received like the very almost like hysteresis free kind of JV curve, which is one of the major challenges in this perovskite solar cell kind of field. So that's why like that was like successfully like established. And more impressively, when we expose the devices into like thermal plus like full sunlight soaking test, so the devices like without a kind of any encapsulation, so the devices remained like pretty stable. So that was like at that time, like it's few years ago, when everybody was trying to kind of stabilize this perovskite solar cells, so that was kind of very impressive result. And this article remained like the highly downloadable kind of article for I think like 1 to 3 years. So and this work is also like patented with the US patent application. So with this kind of impressive results, like we moved to another stressful condition. We took the same devices, and again, like without encapsulating, we also exposed the devices into very high kind of UV stimulation, because that all this organic photovoltaic technologies, they are suffering like very badly sometimes, like with the UV element in this kind of sun spectrum. So one of the challenges is that that your every kind of new this, including this perovskite technology, should be very stable under this UV light. So what happened that, okay, without encapsulation, we again expose the devices into this kind of a chamber where we installed this very heavy kind of UV. It was like crossing 1.5 sun illumination. So if you see this link in the article, so then you will go through what were the conditions. So then what happened when we expose the devices, like again for a long-term stability testing, so the devices remain under this stressful condition very stable, like for 250 hours. And after that, you can see that a degradation in the short circuit current density. And then you can see that, okay, how these perovskite crystals that appears black or like dark brown. So when they degrade, so then like this lead iodide formation occurs. So then you can see a yellow kind of color. So that indicated that yes, the on this non-active area, and later on, like even in the active area, the moisture had penetrated and that degraded the performance. But even like the devices remain like 250 hours like very stable, and that is a very good kind of result that, okay, in the preliminary kind of step. So how we planned that, okay, and you can see on the right left kind of then the JV curve was degraded of the same device when we were like kind of measuring it after maybe 6 weeks or this after more than 700 hours. So but it's still like the results were promising. So what we decided that, okay, to retard somehow this kind of rate of degradation. So what did we do? We simply like took this normal epoxy available like in the market, and we just doctor bladed like this epoxy to cover this kind of all this active area. And what happened then, we re-simulated like the test. And what happened that kind of we just expose the device in the same kind of conditions. And then like so as you can see here, like for more than 6 weeks, like it is a kind of a standard test that is like adopted from the kind of advices or like the consensus that is established for these kind of organic photovoltaic technologies testings. So what happened that the devices like were not kind of, they were not degraded up to like this 6-week test. So it actually passed. So this is one of the most stable kind of research results like in this field of like perovskite solar cell technology. And then what happened that, not only although you can see that the appearance in this figure D, the sign of the degradation like kind of was there, but however it was not reaching to the active area. And then that's why like not only the devices were remain stable, but also like performance was slightly like kind of improved. So you can see the details like given in this kind of the reference that is published. So all these two preliminary kind of stability tests like were very kind of motivating for us, and it gave us like extreme kind of excitement. So the same chamber was able to create some kind of a thermo-humid environment, because if somebody is following, again I would say that following this field of perovskite, so they all know that okay, perovskite degrades rapidly like in this humidity and this kind of moist conditions. But like, so our curiosity based upon these two brilliant kind of testings like led to test like the same device structure into this kind of humidity assisted like thermal treatment. So what did I do that okay, I created an environment where like we maintained the humidity up to this kind of 65% plus minus 5%, and that was combined with a thermal stress of around 40 degree. So I was expecting that okay, that devices should go like drastically down. But what happened that surprisingly like and shockingly, as you can see here like the in this figure D, that the conversion efficiencies like were drastically improved as a result of like the drastic decrement in the overall cell resistance. And on the top right corner you can see a JV curve. So that happens actually that when you scan the device with a both forward and reverse scan, so then like kind of so you get a large hysteresis. And if even you take like a average of this forward and reverse, which is appeared in the black kind of color, so then even like it gives you some value, but you cannot like confidently say that what is the actual performance of your devices. But what happened that after we expose the device, so this is the same like response, the JV curve of the same device when we expose it into high humidity. So it was shocking that okay, not only this kind of the hysteresis was kind of almost suppressed, but the performance was like almost 50% like kind of increased. And that was like kind of very shocking. And as you can see here that it is the actual device that was exposed to almost 200 hours. So only like a slight kind of sign of this yellow lead iodide formation occurred at the edges, like that is an ink that comes out like slightly when you infiltrate the perovskite. So it came out like from the edges, and then like it was freeze. So then like that crystals there of perovskites were kind of degraded a slight. So that really kind of ignited the curiosity that okay, what happened to the structure. So what happened that as you can see here in this table, like okay, even if you take this average from forward to reverse scan, the performance was just 9.2%, but like after exposition it jumped up to nearly like 14%. With the reverse scan it was even crossed for 14%. Like of course like active area was like very small, but it gave like a lot of kind of evidences. And then what happened, so people researchers sometimes they try to just measure very quick scanning, and they try to prove that okay, we achieve some efficiency. But however, like this is not accepted in this field. Like you really have to like provide an evidence that okay, if you are measuring the device, like so then you have to produce some reproducible data. So what did I do with a very slow scan? Like I scanned the device like for almost like 90 minutes, and you can see that in 90 minutes we scanned for 10 times like with a slow scan rate, and then like the performance remained like almost the same. So that endorsed that okay, this all physical changes that occurred in the structure were permanent. And then like there was also a concept of hydrate formation, like the water molecule could be attached in perovskite crystal. So that I was suggested that okay, to perform some kind of FTIR spectroscopy kind of analysis. So somebody like did it like in this contribution. So then what we found that there was no kind of chemical structural kind of like changes occurred in this kind of crystals. So this means that okay, there was a physical kind of growth that occurred like in between the perovskite. That was amazingly surprised. It has surprised me that okay, how is it possible? So the first thing which we do is normally like, you do for this kind of crystal growth kind of, thing. So then you do the XRD measurement. And as you can see here, like in this top left picture, so there's a peak appeared like a 14.1 degree that is associated to which is marked in the green. So that is associated with the lead, this perovskite, crystal. And then in the first 0 to 2 hours, there was no kind of, tail elongated. But after like 50 hours, like, the amplitude like was kind of, it was changed. And that is an indication that, okay, yes, there is a crystal growth like kind of occurred. And again, like, as a simple test. So if you have seen this kind of, in my previous slide. So sorry, this one, I wanted to show this one. So what did I do on the surface of the carbon? Like I simply did this kind of 4 probe measurement test. And in order to check that, okay, what happened, like, because this is the nanoparticle based kind of layers. So that happens like, that maybe the sheet resistance could be changed. Like, so what did I do? I simply like make a 4 probe measurement test, and where like without infiltration of the perovskite precursor, like we measured, and the sheet resistance was like of this conductive layer was around 14 to 15 ohms per square. And after infiltration, like it reduced after crystallization of perovskite like up to like around 10 ohms per square. That is understandable because then it improved the interparticle connectivity. And then like after even this HT treatment, like, it was further reduced to a like kind of, around like 8.5 to 9 ohms per square. So that gave an idea that, okay, there is a crystal growth that has improved the interface, and that has like, but how to detect this kind of crystal growth? So you cannot see through like, through this kind of carbon structure, because you only get like a porous kind of structure of this. So how to get it? But luckily, as I mentioned, that a crystal was, came out. So at that edge, like, that gave me an idea that, okay, to take some kind of SAM images. And you can see here, it is like, the images of that edge. So what happened that when the perovskite initially, when they crystallize, so that they form this kind of small chunks. And what happened over the period of like this humidity exposure, so they started like merging together like kind of, and they were forming this kind of large crystals. So then, we were shocked that, okay, how is it happening? But what we realized that, okay, this carbon is kind of hydrophobic by nature. So it repels like whatever the moisture that was created in this kind of, this chamber. However, it was allowing, like, because it's a porous structure. So then it allows steam to like, go through, and then like kind of like kiss like the perovskite crystals. And what happens? So from the outer boundary, they before fully degraded, they start fusing together like, with a neighboring kind of crystal. And that's why this kind of, they were turning into the large crystals. So that has really kind of, given us like a new discovery, that because in all other structure, like you cannot expose the devices directly because they are just 1 micron thin, like the preliminary slides I showed. But like in this, like it gives us a liberty that, okay, this carbon is naturally hydrophobic. So it repels moisture, so then you can like keep the devices into high humidity. And then like when we tested the devices again for a long-term stability test, so then there was no performance degradation. That gives us a complete endorsement that, okay, this physical like changes like are not irreversible. So then like they are permanent. So this is a new way, like I figured out that, okay, for the crystal growth, and that can lead to, and then what was missing like in this previous like kind of, in the literature, that people have they are mostly reporting these 4 parameters like the short circuit current density and VOC, fill factor, and efficiency. However, like there is another parameter like which is called cell resistance, because like this, my structure is kind of 15 times more thicker than the traditional. So without going into the science, the principal characteristic it offers like is the high cell resistance. So one of the kind of, the challenge was to reduce the overall cell resistance, and how to reduce it. So then this physical crystal growth, it improves the kind of, the structure and interface. And then like now it is possible to even reduce the cell resistance to kind of, the up to like 50 times, like, so that is an impressive kind of thing which we achieved. And now like in all this period, like since my last talk in this first InSIC kind of, so now we have scaled up successfully this technology over 40 by 40 glass substrate. So, and then like, even you can see like this device performance like on a 20 by 20 square centimeter substrate, and the active area here like was more than even 230 square centimeter. So it's just like kind of, some initial trials, you can see hysteresis-free device, and with a very impressive 7% conversion efficiency. And then you can create a serially connected kind of device, and then you can achieve nearly 11 volt within this, which is a huge, because all these electronics, they operate these days on 5 volts. So then you can see an amazing thing is that it's a very low cost kind of production process. So the idea is that based upon your spirit of promoting this energy research in this rural area, and this so then what I'm trying to do is to establish a low cost photovoltaic factory as a role model. So and then a lot of companies they got excited within Finland, so they have been collaborating enormously now, and then they have been providing all their kind of facilities when it is needed. And we have successfully filed many patent applications around this technology, and we are trying to convert it into a reliable kind of product. And at the same time, I'm also interested to depute this kind of this technology to all this kind of the theme which you guys are organizing at the moment. So in near future, of course we can talk about it. So Risto is carefully also kind of he knows about my work. So then we can always discuss about the possibility of its this technology deployment in all these kind of areas, both in India and Pakistan. So in near future it will be very much possible. So and then of course these are two my kind of great motivation in research field. One is Professor Gretzel, we all know. So he's also a recipient of technology Millennium Technology Prize award winner. So every 2 years the Finnish government gives 1 million euros prize money to the huge kind of breakthrough that could have changed the life of the of the more in the modern society, and all these kind of problems which we have been facing. So I have this dream that because this technology have this potential to generate a lot of socio-economic impact, and then with that I'm also I am very ambitious to hold this trophy. Maybe it sounds funny at this time, but you never know. So there are some success story around this kind of perovskite technology. For example, now Professor Henry Snaith from Oxford University, he has recently received the most prestigious this photovoltaic prize, Becquerel prize. And then there is another Sauler Technologies have emerged, they are producing this perovskite technology, because as I mentioned that this perovskite cells can be fabricated in many device configuration. So they have adopted to produce it on the flexible substrate, which gives more kind of flexibility to install on this. And then there is also a Swedish firm called Exeger. So it is not directly the perovskite technology, but the Dyson solution technology. So they have received recently funding around 20 million from SoftBank. So there are successful stories. So that is motivating me to kind of to push this to the next level. So and with that kind of I end up my talk, and this was the exhibition that was staged very recently at Aalto University. And then now I'm building up, my lab is almost ready, and then I have started I'm starting my team from January with 2 PhD students. And then I thank everyone who was contributing to all this journey. And I also thank to my financiers who are supporting and who have been believing in my scientific ideas. With all that, I thank you. I thank all of you, and I'm open up for the questions. Thank you so much.
Professor, thank you for your presentation. We have a few questions.
Okay, sure. Yes, please.
Yes, the first question is from Professor Das Sarkar from WBUT. It's a university at Kolkata, India. So she is saying that in microelectronics and VLSI department of a university, our students tried to perovskite nano crystalline powder. We really want to collaborate with this kind of potential work. So is it possible?
Sure. Why not? And a lot of things are because I emphasize that, okay, this, I know that a lot of people are trying to create this kind of, even some single kind of, crystal based kind of perovskite, crystals. So of course, a lot of things are possible. So I'm very open up, like kind of, there is no problem, like, you know, if somebody comes up with good idea and even some kind of joint funding. So there should be some kind of, because, you know, the effective collaboration could be through a joint funding. For example, you have some Swiss fellowships. So a lot of Indian students goes to this Professor Gradzel's kind of lab. Okay. Through that fellowship, I have seen, like, so if you have some kind of, you know, this kind of opportunity that, okay, the people could come also like to finish universities. So I would love to host, like, you know, any PhD student. There is no problem.
So can they contact you in your email address for this regard?
Yes, sure. Even on the web pages and all this kind of, you know, so most welcome. No worries.
Okay. So another question is by Friends of Environment. They are saying that
Sure.
how can perovskite technology prove useful in the Indian scenario?
Okay, not just Indian scenario, but in this Asian scenario, because, like, kind of, you know, the thing is, we all have, like, kind of, you know, this rural areas and all these villages and all this kind of thing. So the thing is that, yes, so the idea here is to create a low cost kind of photovoltaic kind of factory everywhere, kind of, you know, so that, like, kind of, you know, the people could generate like that decentralized, like, kind of, you know, localized electricity production, which is, like, kind of not easy if you try to adopt this kind of silicon based kind of technology, because 80 to 90 million euros, to my understanding, is needed. So what is happening, of course, you can reduce this kind of labor cost and all, but it's not kind of that viable to start from the scratch of this kind of, you know, silica sand. It's very energy intensive, and then, like, kind of at least 8 to 9 factories are needed. But here, like, what we are trying to achieve, that, okay, to devise a very low cost kind of, you know, systematic kind of method with all these scalable processes. So then, like, we could take, like, you can see here these days modern buildings. So people are just like they bringing like all this individual component, and they start, like, kind of assembling it. Okay. So the thing is, that's why, like, kind of this is a huge potential for all of these kind of area. And then, you know, that all these kind of, you know, we are sun enriched. So of course the potential would be kind of like more brighter, like, in this way. So of course the idea is to produce decentralized and localized kind of electricity production, and with all this kind of under this climate scenario, you know, so we all want that, okay, some sustainable and, like, kind of, you know, so I also kind of want to make you delight that, okay, this is a kind of a very much like recyclable technology. So we have also, like, some work, like, you know, very impressive work with it. So this is, like, kind of, you know, will be happening for the first time, that, okay, like, even like the customer could be able to give us the panel back, and then, like, you know, he can have a new panel from us, and then kind of, you know, so all this kind of development, it is because, like, to under this kind of heading that, okay, yes, we have to provide a sustainable and decentralized localized kind of electricity production kind of, you know, scheme. I hope this sounds good.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. So this lead free inorganic. Yeah, I know a lot of you know, this speculations and also, like, the perspective. However, like, the amount of the lead, and even, like, when you even inject, infiltrate, or, like, if you with a control, is extremely lower. And to the best of my knowledge, like, it is not under this kind of regulation. Of course, like, there are, like, for example, if you integrate it in the consumer electronics kind of, for example, or, like, to the, you know, so there could be, like, kind of some possibilities. But for example, if you see the Saule technologies, so they have also received some kind of, you know, some kind of permissions, like, because they are now scaling up, and then they are, so it's still, like, it is permitted. However, of course, the ideal challenge is and the ideal scenario is to produce a complete lead free. But at the moment, when you are trying to replace this lead with, for example, tin, or, like, even germanium, so then, like, you are not achieving this kind of reproducible results. So of course people are investigating different things. Of course, like, the ideal scenario is, of course, a lead free kind of perovskite. But at the moment, like, it doesn't seem like a big problem, because even, like, there is another Chinese company, Microquanta, and all these kind of, you know, other companies, like, you know, they have emerged. So they have received, like, some kind of licensing, like, maybe to my understanding. So it seems like, okay, it's permissible, like, under this kind of control amount of lead.
Professor, thank you. There are some more questions, but I'll send you that in the email if you can answer that. So I'll post this
Sure.
on the InSIC website.
Sure, no worries. No worries. I thank you all, and I thank you so much for providing me this opportunity. So hope to see you sometime again. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. Now, as we are running a bit late in the schedule, so we'll take 10 minutes break, and then after 10 minutes, we'll continue with the presentation of Dr. Raghu Das of Mitra Niketan, and then we'll just shorten the time for the interactive session a little bit due to our time constraints. Thank you all. So now we can break for 10 minutes. I think we can start with our next presentation. So now I would request Dr. Raghu Das. He is the director of Mitra Niketan, which is a core support group of Seed Division, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He also serves on several state, regional and federal committees as an advisor for education and rural development. Mitra Niketan pioneered in promoting village cooperatives, farmer cooperatives, khadi cooperatives and bamboo cooperatives, and appropriate technologies like biogas, low-cost sanitation, farming technologies, water harvesting. Similarly, the organization has contributed in its might in creating rural employment in farm and non-farm sector on a large scale. So I would request Raghu sir, Dr. Raghu Das, kindly proceed with his presentation. So from here, I would request Apurva to kindly share the slide of the Dr. Raghu Das, the PDF version.
Thank you, Richik. Good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon, Professor Gon Chaudhary sir. Good afternoon, Dr. Sunil Agarwal, Risto, and other friends from Finland. First of all, I should thank the members of the International Solar Innovation Council for sanctioning this first project to Mitra Niketan. And I'm going to present today the project on development of performance enhanced natural convection solar dryer for drying fruits, vegetables, tuber crops, etc. And this project has been sanctioned to us in May, but we could not start early due to COVID and other reasons. We have initiated the project from the October onwards. Next slide, please. Mitra Niketan is the host organization. This is located at the most southern tip of India. We have started functioning since 1956. Primarily, we are working in the area of education, agriculture, and rural technologies. As mentioned by Richik, we are also one of the core support groups of the Department of Science and Technology. We are focusing on technology-based livelihood activities. We are also working in the area of fruit and vegetable processing. We have promoted a few number of processing unit among rural women in the villages at the grassroots level. This project is, of course, developing for helping the rural women working in the processing area in the villages. Next slide, please. The specific objectives of this project are develop a performance-enhanced natural convection solar dryer by integrating solar preheater and chimney. Second objective is to optimizing the design and installation parameters to maximize solar energy usage. Then to disseminate the dryer among fruit processing units run by rural women in the villages. Then specifically train selected youth in fabrication of the solar dryer and also orient beneficiaries, that means the tribal women, in operation and maintenance of the solar dryer. Next slide, please. The specific problem is that we have plenty of natural resources available for processing, especially fruits, tuber crops, spices, and coconut. This is available mostly during the season. So during the season, there are a lot of fruits and vegetables get wasted because there are very few processing facilities or maybe no processing facilities at the village level. In the case of jackfruit, almost 50% of the fruits are getting wasted during the summer season. Then another problem is open sun drying is the cheapest method, of course, but it is not hygienic and also affecting the quality of the products. This is the traditional method followed by all these people in the rural areas. Then the existing dryers are energy intensive and power consuming, and it is expensive also, which our village women can't afford. But the problem with the locally available dryers are that it retains moisture in the drying chamber due to high relative humidity in the area. Especially in Kerala, the humidity is very high. The project location also, it's always raining and also high humidity is recorded. So due to fungus attack and all, the shelf life of the products are very, very less. Next slide, please. So the demand or need of the technology is to utilize the perishable natural resources through dehydration and preservation. And secondly, to improve the quality of products, the products which are produced by the women at the villages. To improve the quality, we need the better drying and preservation facilities. That is also the main demand for the technology. And of course, ultimately, the aim is to increase the income of the rural women who run the processing and value addition units. The availability of suitable dryers are very less, and also it's very high cost in the area. Next slide. The photos are the women which we have trained, and they are with their products. Some of the other fried and dried product which also you can see. Over the last 3 years, we have trained almost 200 plus women in processing of jackfruit and other locally available fruits and vegetables. So raw materials are available cheaply. So we should provide the facilities and technologies so that they can value add this product and market and generate income. Next slide, please. So the importance of solar dryer is that it ensures substantial reduction in drying time. That is very important, along with keeping the physical quality standards of the product. Primarily, solar dryer increases the shelf life of raw materials, and also it is the easy method of preservation of fruits, tubers, and vegetables. It saves energy and reduces the cost of production because there is no recurring cost involved in this thing. You can see the photos. These two photos are the dried jackfruit. This can be soaked and we can cook as vegetable and also fry as chips. Next slide, please. The technology gap and solution in relation to this drying. In Kerala, the relative humidity is very high. It varies from 65% to 80%. So solar drying without proper airflow will lead to retention of moisture in the drying chamber. This is the main technical problem which we are trying to address through this project. It affects the keeping quality, of course, as I said before, through fungus attack. So solar drying with better airflow is the alternative to pull out evaporated moisture from the drying chamber. So this will reduce the storage loss, post-harvest loss, by drying the produce in a controlled environment. That means drying in an enclosed structure with a proper airflow. This can save a lot of post-harvest loss. Next slide, please. This is the design we have developed. First design we have developed of the solar dryer. You can see the solar first inlet, that is this solar collector. Then the collector is covered with the polycarbonate sheet, and the chimney which has been added, that is the uniqueness of this project. And the dryer frame, this primarily consists of preheater with the collector plate and close to the air inlet on both sides of the dryer. Then drying chamber, chimney, polycarbonate sheet, UV stabilized sheet, and also the drying area of this dryer is 4 meters square. That means we can load 4 trays of 1 meter square into 4 trays. Capacity of this dryer is about 10 to 15 kilograms depending on the product. I will explain this in detail in the next slides. Next slide, please. We just started initiating the prototype. The work is just on. We have started producing. It's not reached the stage of testing it, but the work is on. Next slide, please. I'm now explaining the components of the dryer. The first one is the preheater plate, which you can see that preheater plate is a collector. It heats the air coming through the inlet. That is before entering into the main drying chamber. There's a preheating of the air that is incorporated in this dryer. Secondly, you can see the drying chamber. As I mentioned, there are 4 trays. It is 4 meters square. And then the chimney, which is the main addition uniqueness of this particular dryer. Chimney helps for a better air speed by free convection and homogeneous distribution of heated air inside the drying chamber. Then the hot air rises and escapes through the chimney, while the cool air at the ambient temperature enters through the lower inlet into the preheater. Therefore, airflow is maintained. The chimney increases the amount of airflow. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I will explain now about the different components. The preheater, it is a flat plate collector with a transparent top and darkened substrate to tap maximum of heat. These are attached to both sides of the dryer connected with the inlet region. This can be detached, especially when drying the products inside the dryer. This can be detached. Then chimney, as I explained, is made of steel square tube frame with a transparent covering. Lower end of the chimney will be open to the drying chamber, that is connected with the drying chamber, while the top end will be open to the atmosphere, as like in other chimneys. Next slide, please. About the drying chamber, it is made of stainless steel square tubes covered with a transparent UV protected polycarbonate sheets. We use mainly plain sheets, so that will radiate more heat inside the chamber. Then the drying trays are concerned, it is made of aluminium with thermal insulation provided at the bottom, and top surface of the tray is blackened to improve the heat absorption. Next slide, please. As far as the principle of operation is concerned, in the preheater, heating of fresh air will be carried out before entering it into the main drying chamber. This is the main addition we have included in the in this design. Increasing the inlet air temperature causes drop in relative humidity, thereby increasing the moisture absorption capacity of the air. Majority of the drying of food material or fruits taken place in the drying chamber itself. Chimney creates draft as well as improves the outflow of the moist air from the chamber. This will definitely help fresh, cool air to be introduced into the chamber at an accelerated rate. This is the principle of operation of this dryer. Next slide, please. The work plan, which we have just started developing the first prototype. This will be tested in the lab, and if necessary, the design change will be done. Then the second prototype will be tested in the processing unit, as we have 4 jackfruit processing unit functioning in the villages. Then we will disseminate this technology to 3 processing unit as demo unit. Then we will focus on selected trained youth in the training skill development of its fabrication and orient beneficiaries in its operation and maintenance. Next, please. You can see the picture of jackfruit tree. There are plenty of fruits available in a village during a season. More than 50% is being wasted. Now in the selected villages where we are working, we try to utilize these jackfruit through different processing technologies and all. So these are highly perishable products. So if we could provide technologies, the women in the villages can utilize these natural resources to generate income. Next slide, please. So now come to the banana. This is another plenty available fruit in the area. Banana normally we consume directly, but there is a potential that banana powder is used by many local rural mothers. Banana powder is a baby food. We developed some fortified baby food from banana powder. So for drying banana, also this solar dryer can be used. Next slide, please. This is the work so far we have done. We have just initiated the project in October 1st. Now October, November, December. By December end, I hope I will be able to complete the first prototype and do the trial testing in using different fruits in the lab itself. Then I will get back to you with the data and all. Thank you very much. If you have any question, please.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. So I would just brief one thing that, or rather inform the audience that we had the first InSIC call for grants, which was the small grants proposal in the year 2019. And we received a number of proposals for that grant. And our grant committee selected the proposal of Dr. Regurama Das, and this solar dryer was selected in that. And in this year, InSIC wishes to also announce the second call for grants. And for this, I request Professor S.P. Gonchaudhary sir and Mr. Risto Isomaki to kindly chair the interactive session. And after the modalities have been explained, I would request the audience also to ask some questions to the grant committee, if they have any, about the grants. Thank you. Now over to you, sirs.
Before.
Sir, you are muted, sir. So.
There's a question from Madhumita Dasarkar. I think we should give the floor to her.
Yes. Is Regu sir there?
Yeah, I am here. I am here.
Sir, there's a question from Professor Dasarkar from WT Kolkata. She is asking that is there any issues still exist to address the drying the food? I think she's saying that whether there is some issues in drying the food for your solar dryer.
Whether there is any
issues?
Misuse?
Issues, sir. Issues.
No, that is what I have presented. The main problem with the existing dryer is the high humidity in the area. So after drying, in the next day morning, we have to remove that every day. Otherwise, in the next day morning, there is high humidity that again the product become having more moisture content. Then gradually it has a fungus attack and the product get damaged. That is why we are trying to develop a solar dryer with a better airflow. So humidity is the main problem which we are facing. The other dryers available locally is very expensive, which we cannot, these people cannot afford.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Richie.
Yes.
Now, you see, as Richie has mentioned, the last year we have supported only one proposal from Dr. Ragurama Das. This is solar dryer. But this year we are going to support more proposals. But we are going to give a call very shortly. Now, if you have, I wish the eligible participants are any institution, NGOs, colleges, or even any individual can apply. So if you have any question about that, we are going to support probably 5 or 6 proposals this time. But we are expecting much more. But this should be very innovative proposal, mostly related to energy only, renewable energy, and it will be a small grant project, not large grant, and it will be pilot scale demonstration, pilot project, like as Ragurama Das has mentioned. It's a pilot project, and finally, we will wish that it will be scaled up through your own mechanism. So if you have any question, the participants, you can ask me or Mr. Risto, then we can interact.
There was actually one question related to this earlier. Somebody asked whether several organizations can apply for a small grant together, and I think there is no problem in that. But some of the organization has to take the main responsibility for running the project, if organizations are applying for the grants, they need to have this permission to receive foreign funding, because most of the funds will come from Europe.
Yes, that is one important point. FCRA will be required because most of the fund will come from foreign country. So that is also one of the criteria for getting the fund. Maybe about 4 or 5 lakhs. Small, it is a small grant, maximum 4 or 5 lakhs.
So 5 lakhs means it's 6,000 euros.
4 lakhs means about 80 rupees. That means 5,000 euro maximum. But it may be small also. It may be less also.
Good evening, sir.
Good
Dr.
evening.
Lal Singh.
Good evening.
Nice to see you again.
Hi, Risto. How are you?
I'm very okay.
You are
Good to see
okay,
you.
fine. Nice to hear you. Sir, I think Dr. Gon Chaudhary can advise us on renewable energy because there is much emphasis on solar in India now. But right from the beginning, because I have been advocating some energy options other than lighting, because Dr. Gon Chaudhary know that very well, that the area and the state where we live, we have a lot of hydropower for lighting. But we have a very big issue of energy for cooking. And with the passage of time, what is happening that we are abandoning livestock. With every day, we have been wiping out cows, sheep, buffaloes from the mountains because we got educated and we have less priority towards livestock now. But whosoever is having livestock still, they have a very good option of biogas or some bioenergy out of that animal excreta or the biomass available from the agriculture field. And we are shifting towards more and more towards cash crops like cabbage, potato, and something which is not palatable as a fodder by the livestock. And most of that is being dumped in a natural habitat. The residues of these like cabbage and cauliflower and some other like floriculture crops that is not palatable for a longer time by the animals. Then how we can convert that to a kind of energy source like through a methanation as a biogas, and what is the procedure that at a household level either we develop some prototype, particularly in mountains. There are many options available in areas where there is a temperature availability around 15, 20 to 25 degrees centigrade for a better fermentation or better anaerobic process to produce a gas. But here, for example, for 7-8 months, we have temperature less than 15 degrees in outside in those mid-altitude areas, which are very good forest areas. And we have maximum dependence on fuel wood, or we are burning dung as a dung cake. But how we can reduce that use by converting the animal excreta or biomass to an energy source so that people can prepare it at a household level, or they can have some option to replace LPG, because there is a fashion that everybody wants to have an LPG connection. But LPG connection, they use hardly 1 or 2 cylinder in a year's time. Ultimately, that is simply a kind of a status that we have LPG connection, but that meet with very, very little requirement for cooking. We need extensive exercise to develop some source on this biomass and animal excreta to produce something which can meet our cooking requirement. And if possible, also heating as well. Because solar heating, normally we are adopting some high-end energy intensive material in constructing a house in mountain, like bricks, steel, and less of a wood, which was very prevalent in the past. We are using lesser energy intensive material and more energy intensive material. Even in Leh Ladakh, you will see concrete and other structures are coming up. They require a lot of energy during winter season, 7-8 months, to keep inside warm. In that case, for cooking and space heating, some option we need to develop. And I think I have been introduced to energy by Dr. Gwan Chaudhary in a DST project long back in 2005-6. Dr. Sunil motivated us from a biologist to become energy kind of individual to work in a field. Sir, this is a kind of problem we are facing. I think you can guide us better. And Risto can further throw some light because they are also from the colder areas in Finland, most of the time. And they can also share their experience how we should go about. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good point. You see, that is the innovation. Can you integrate solar energy and bioenergy? Can you heat up your biogas plant with solar power? Can you heat it up? So something like this type of innovation, you can think in this under InSIC proposal, that can we develop a prototype like that, a biogas plant, properly heated by sunlight in a proper manner, or any sort of other heating from biomass. So something like that, that is called innovation. That because that is not really available now, as you rightly pointed out, the conventional biogas plant, that will not work properly in Himachal for all the 12 months. So now you need some heating arrangement. So can we develop some heater, solar heater for biogas plant? So that is the innovation. And that type of proposal we propose to support from InSIC side. So you can think about that. That is a good idea. You can also think about proper solar room heating. That is also you are already doing. But if you want to make some innovation, further improvement, that type of thing, we can support. So a lot of, ideas are there in the energy sector for whole region also. And you can think over and you can submit the proposal. Okay.
Can I also add something? I think that using biogas as clean cooking energy is a very important area of research. But many poor families cannot afford to have their own biogas generator. So there might also be a point of developing a way how some smaller amounts of biogas can be packed so that they can be used even by those families who cannot afford to have their own and who don't have cows.
I would like to make a comment in relation to that. Sir, can I speak? Just a minute. This is Regu from Mitraniketan. In relation to small biogas plants, what happened in Kerala, the government has promoted 0.5 cube biogas plants, and most of these biogas plants having energy or cooking time is only 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, they cannot use because of the feeding materials, it can't afford. The capacity is very less. So promoting very small biogas plants is not technically advisable. At the same time, now there are many number of schemes in different states in which they are giving more than 50% subsidy to install biogas plants of 1 cubic meter and all. Thank you.
I would like to mention one point about Mitraniketan, Dr. Reku Ramadasi's solar dryer, because I think that's a very important innovation, and of course the benefits are even bigger in areas where the air is a little bit drier than in Kerala. So I would like to have a prototype also in Finland. We would like to use it to dry apples and mushrooms, because drying mushrooms in very many places would be a very important application for your invention. And it would also improve the air quality for example, around Delhi, because now people are burning a lot of straw, which contributes a lot, for example, to the air pollution problem in Delhi. And this straw, it would make more sense to, for example, use it to grow mushrooms. But if you grow a lot of mushrooms, you need a way to try them effectively. Otherwise, it won't make any sense. Also, one point you mentioned is extremely important, and you said that outside drying in the sun can be very unhygienic, and that means, for example, that if you dry things without so that they are not covered at all, they can become exposed to bad heat, and bad heat spreads, for example, Nipah virus and coronaviruses. So this is actually rather important point.
Yeah, true. I can definitely help to try to install a dryer if it is standardized and come better in Finland. Of course, the open drying has a lot of problems. Even before Nipah and this corona and all, the problem is contamination. We cannot always with the open drying area. So there's birds, not only quality problem, but also the quantity problem. Also birds, rat, and other rodents are creating problems and all. Of course, there is a lot of demand. I hope we can develop this as a low-cost product and disseminate and market in the area, especially at the grassroots level where small processing type of units functioning. Thank you, sir.
Next, any other?
There are some questions actually. Professor Das Sarkar has some questions. Professor, are you there? And after that, Mr. Chiranjeev Roy has some questions. Mr. Roy, are you there? You can ask the question directly to the committee.
Yes, sir. Sir, it is audible?
Yes, audible. You can ask the questions.
Sir, actually, I am talking about regarding on solar dryer. That what is the price differences for the solar dryer with electric dryer? I mean, for initial investment, number one. And number two, is it applicable for Northeast area? I mean, as per climate sessions.
Yeah, is it the question to me? I think the solar dryer which Mitraniketan is trying to develop is about 25,000 rupees. Because if we use the low quality materials, then the output is we should not get the expected output. So we are trying to develop a solar dryer of 25,000 rupees. At the same time, electric dryers are very expensive. Even small dryers are about more than 100,000 rupees. That's why we are looking for a smaller dryers. But 25,000 is the optimum price which we are considering.
And one more point here, the solar dryer, you see in unelectrified area, you can't operate electric dryer. So only solar dryer can be utilized in those areas. And we are mostly targeting the unelectrified areas where electricity is erratic or not available.
That is also true. That is one of the reasons why we can
that is one important point.
Yeah.
There is a question from Professor Das Sarkar. She's saying that is there any scope for scholar or project assistant?
For having the grant, the small grant, can we, as we are in the institute, we have no like manpower. So in that case, can we get a scholar or project assistant to complete or fulfill our deliverables in this case, if we take a grant for against any project?
The grant is basically for development activities.
Yes.
Not for really. If you develop some new innovative items, then you will get the grant.
Yes, that is true. Like in your solar dome that we have once visited, and we have really enjoyed that solar dome. And in case like in our university, we have the students project, and reading the project, we are giving them some kind of a new innovative or concept of ideas. and sometimes students may have that good ideas, but to implement, they require sometimes they require more time to devote or a constant effort. So they want some kind of small scholarship, like 10 to 12,000 per month, and then we can get like a constant effort from the to make it successful, because we have the concept and idea, but we cannot get that amount of time after doing all the activities as a faculty member of a university. So if we implement that concept in a through our students project, then it will be easier for us to handle the grant. So is it possible, because we have so many, like under the guidance of even Professor Gonchaudhary can guide us, that so that we have ideas, but if that can be channelized in a proper way, so that we can take the scholarship and to make it successful, we can do something like that. One thing that in a aquaculture, in a pisciculture department, once we went there, and they're doing some kind of power and monitoring in case of their aquarium. They are doing their culture first in a closed environment. After that, they do in the pond. So they are actually exporting that things from Bangladesh and especially from West Bengal. So this is a kind of small business, and even in the big business also from West Bengal. So they are trying to like incubate the fishes, the growth rate, their development, and for that they require certain temperature, the airflow, and certain other kind of things, that whether the hibernation or the things are the number of ovules or the eggs, what they're counting, their growth rate, that can be monitored also. So there is a project we have taken from the issues from the pisciculture department, from West Bengal pisciculture, and we are trying to solve this problem. Now for this, a student is required who will be constantly supporting that for agriculture monitoring, data taken, and the concept of that, it can be we can take that from the remote area also, so that nothing hamper can be done in the aquarium also. So that kind of problem we have handled one by the students, but the students are only be like motivated when they're like they want some kind of financial support, but sometimes they are asking for some money or scholarship kind of thing. So can we afford this for this 10 month or like that?
Okay, we have noted your suggestion. We will discuss internally first. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That is very important. And once we have small project also 2-3, we have given the DST patent information cell about your dome also. We have tried to make the synergic effect of the dome so that the dome light can be extended to 2-3 rooms, or the area of the extension can be large. That type of work also my students has done, but they want some scholarships to continue the work.
Okay, thank you. Thank
if
you.
You can. Okay.
Okay. Any other?
Mr. Joshi from Spredy, are you there? So he has asked a question. He's saying that FCRA will be mandatory, or for India, DST seat will support. So he's saying that whether FCRA will be mandatory for organizations for receiving the foreign grant.
No, for any foreign grant, FCRA is mandatory. Yeah, you need that.
I think it's mandatory for the organizations, probably not for individuals. Am I right?
But not for individuals. Yes, you're right. Not for individuals, but for organizations.
Yes. So any other questions? Any other questions you can directly ask to the committee?
Yeah, one more question. The maximum duration of the scholarship, that depends on the proposal, length of the proposal of the work or deliverables, or it is fixed? It will be
duration of the project. Duration will be 1 year.
Okay, maximum duration.
Maximum.
Okay.
Yes.
Yogesh sir is asking about the volume or the amount of appropriate size of proposal amount.
I have already answered.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is about
We
5
can
to
go
6.
for 4 lakh, up to 4 lakh.
Yes.
But if there are many good proposals so that we don't have money to finance everything, then we have to find some ways to decide. And then let's say that the optimal size of the project is between 2 and 5,000 euros. That is in rupees 80 times that. So let's say between 160,000 or 1.6 and 4 lakh. But if there are many good proposals and we don't have at the moment money to finance all of the really good ones, then we may be tempted to give the funds to the little bit smaller ones. But of course, if there will be good proposals really good ones that we cannot fund immediately, then we will do our utmost to find new funding for InSIC so that we can find them after a short delay.
So is there somebody from CARD, because CARD has posted 2 questions in the chat box. Is there somebody from CARD? CARD BBSR? Is there somebody from CARD? Okay, I'll ask the questions which they have posted. They are saying that as we have no scientific experience of machines, of technology, but we are working in remote areas. There are different needs like low cost solar cooker for the fishermen. Those are looking inside the boat in Chilka Lake. So can we get technical support from InSIC in this regard? I think they can submit a proposal.
They can collaborate. You see, they can collaborate with some technical groups.
But one thing I think it's important to emphasize that InSIC is not financing replication or scaling up of or dissemination of the already existing technologies. The proposals the idea must be that they are trying to develop something new, a new innovation. There must be something new. There must be an innovation in the project proposal.
Something new and pilot. Only pilot InSIC will support.
Mr. Suresh is there from Nirman. Mr. Suresh, you can ask your question to the committee.
Is there any deadline for submission of the proposal for solar dryer?
That deadline we will give. We will advertise shortly and we will give the deadline of submission.
Yeah. Sir, we are going to conduct a training program for solar dryer program in Firinga block, Kondhamala from 23rd to 26th. Yeah.
So, Mr. Suresh, you can check the InSIC website and the grant section of the InSIC website. All the details will be posted there. So you can download all the documents which will be published shortly, and you can download all these documents and read the documents. So all the information will be posted there.
Okay, thank you.
But InSIC doesn't really fund training courses because there are thousands and thousands of non-governmental organizations who are funding training projects, because there are so few organizations that give small grants to research and development, to developing new innovations. We are concentrating on that because in this area there isn't much, but
Sir,
there are.
Yes, Mr. Roy, you can ask the question.
What is the time frame to execute the job? Means if I take any grant, I mean the small grant.
1 year will be the time frame maximum. 1 year.
Okay, sir.
And one thing I want to ask, that sometimes a very like installation model that you were talking about in the second lecture, that can be developed with the, like in India, what we are seeing, that the component of radiation we cannot estimate for a particular place, and the irradiance that is being stated in the data sheet of a module is under standard condition. So there is a big difference between the actual condition and the standard condition, how the module will be acting in a particular zone or particular place. So the capacity utilization factor that cannot be estimated properly. So in that case, can we make an installation model from the open source like NASA or kind of Indian meteorological data that can be available to the installer or open source, so that by using that and by some statistical interpretation, can we make a small software-based things that can actually give us the idea of whether installation of how much big plant or the rooftop can only be installed there, or feasibility can be done or not. That kind of small project, because before going to installation, we require how much irradiance component will be there. And really, we have no pyranometer in our Indian meteorological, like Calcutta Meteorological Department. No pyranometer, no heliometer is there. So in that case, can we make some kind of using solar cell, that the business kind of solar cell, those which are commercialized in Indian market, by using that solar cell, can we make a sensor, kind of calibrated sensor, that for a particular area, whether this solar cell can be used for getting how much the maximum irradiance in a particular zone can be obtained from that sensor, and installation based model can be run on that software, so that we can guess that whether feasibility of installation can be done or not.
Okay. We have noted any innovative proposal, sir. We will appreciate any innovative proposal. It may be making of some instrument, that is also okay. But you go through our website and then you come up with the proposal. Now, since we are going out of time, Richik, you have to wrap up.
Yes. So we'll just wrap up. So I'll request Miss Elina Mahonen. She is the Vice Chair of InSIC, and she's also the Project Coordinator of Helsinki Kaupunki, or the City of Helsinki. I would request Elina to kindly give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Elina.
Thank you, Richik. Thank you, everybody, for the interesting discussion. My name is Elina Mahonen, and I'm one of the founding members of InSIC, and I've been happy to work with our team since the very beginning. I've also had the honor to be the Vice Chair of InSIC for the last 2 years. At this point, I would like to thank all of you in the audience for attending the webinar. It's been a great pleasure being with you today. Maybe for some of you, this was the first time you heard about InSIC, and maybe some of you have been part of our network already for a longer time. In any case, I hope that this webinar gave you new information and inspiration. Shortly in Hindi, मैं अपने पाठ्य मेहमानों को बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ. I also would like to thank our guest speakers, Dr. Sunil Agarwal, Professor Gufran Hashmi, and Dr. Regu Ramadas. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts, experiences, and innovations with us today. And of course, I would like to thank also my dear InSIC colleagues, Professor Gonchaururi, Mr. Risto Isomaki, and Mr. Riji Goshtakur, and the whole InSIC board and the webinar working group. Time is running, and it's about the time to close our webinar. Before we do that, I would like to point out just a few more things shortly. The goal of InSIC is to catalyze the development of solar energy innovations to benefit the world's poorest people who have this far been ignored by most private and public solar research and development programs. We also want to offer developing countries solutions to access energy services such as light, heating, and cooking sustainably. We aim to establish an operative network with diverse stakeholders to foster a spirit of partnership among the key players of solar energy developers. We also want to communicate with the technology developers to better understand the user needs. This is why I would like to now encourage all of you to join InSIC and bring your knowledge and skills to our growing network. You can fill the membership form in InSIC website, like Richie showed in the beginning. And maybe, Richie, could you please add the link to the chat window one more time?
Yes,
Yes, thanks. One of our aims is to provide financial support to stimulate the research and development in the field of solar energy. Through our small grant program, which we discussed today, we want to promote the development of solar energy applications through innovation and to make a big leap in a variety of small-scale solar energy applications in terms of usability, applicability, and cost. And by our small grant program, we also want to support the development of technological solutions that can be produced and maintained locally. To learn more about the small grant program, I would now recommend you to follow our website and to subscribe to our newsletter, Solar Innovator. Solar Innovator is published 4 times a year, and it will give you the latest information on our activities and solar energy development in general. We will also announce the opening of this next call for grant applications in the Solar Innovator in the coming months. Richie, maybe you can also add a link to subscribe the newsletter to the chat window. But now, on behalf of the InSIC board, I would really like to thank all of you. It's been a great pleasure to have you here with us today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us through our website or by email, info@solarinnovations.org. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Elena. Goodbye. Thank you all for participating in the webinar. Thanks to all the speakers also.
Thank you very much.
I've given all the links also in the chat.
Everybody, thanks.
Thank you, Risto. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much.
And all other questions will be posted in the website. Those are not answered, will be posted in the website. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.